BuySarms.com, the #1 place to learn about SARMs online.
Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you, and already smiling on this topic. You know what? I don't have an answer for you guys on this one and why I haven't done this earlier, because I've gotten asked to do this video so many times, and you would think anytime Primobolan's involved that I would literally go do it right after somebody requests it. And it just hit me today that I've never done this one. So what I'm going to do is talk about Primobolan versus Masteron. Quite similar and quite different. Both would be, termed as cutting steroids. Both are going to be used in that sort of facet generally. I'm not saying you can't throw one in on a bulking cycle. I've recommended a lot of times DECA, test, and Primobolan into a really strong recomp cycle or bulking cycle. But let's face it, these are more aesthetically pleasing drugs. They're set up and created to be more for cutting. So what's the difference? What is the difference? So we're looking at two DHTs, right? And very similar in that regard. But Masteron is generally viewed as just an aesthetic. Is it just an aesthetic? Not necessarily, no. But what's its main purpose? To serve as an aesthetic. And what do I mean by an aesthetic? Well, to sculpt your body, to harden your muscles, to really give you that grainy look that you can't get on your own. It's a finisher. It's like the finishing touches on a masterpiece, basically. Not to sound cheesy, but that's what it's used for. It's used for contest prep. It's used to get ready for shows. It's going to be something people use to get ready for spring break, because I know so many people are always looking for something to get cut for the summer or for some kind of thing like that. That's the main purpose of Masteron. Now, Masteron has some other properties. It has anti-estrogen properties. Does not mean you can replace it as an anti-estrogen on cycle, but it has properties, and it will help to lower water retention, and it will help to keep your estrogen in check. It's not a substitute for Aromacin or Arimidex or anything of the sort, but it has those properties and benefits. It's definitely going to add some strength. You can get a little bit of size from it. You're not going to get like 15 pounds of size from Masteron, but you can add a little bit of lean muscle with it. Don't think that you're going to use it and get some crazy amounts, though. It has its purposes, and lean muscle is one of them. It's a steroid. And there is a little bit of aggression there, and it could cause some hair loss. It's not something that's really common, I guess, unless you're prone to male pattern baldness, that you can really expect that. But, it's one of those steroids you need to run a little bit higher in your dosage. I'm a more conservative guy, but really to get the most out of it, you want to try to get it in that 500-600 range. I know some people that run it at 400 milligrams a week, and they do okay with it, and they're happy with it. But to really hit that sweet spot, 500-600 milligrams a week is really where you want to be. You can run it in propionate. You can run it in enanthate. Good 12 weeks on enanthate or 8 weeks on propionate is perfect. Now, with Primobolan, what's the difference? Well, Primobolan is still going to give you that really nice cut physique. It's not going to be nearly as strong in terms of the muscle hardening, but it's definitely going to harden your muscles. But you're going to get some more size with Primobolan. You're going to get some more strength. Don't confuse that with me acting like Primobolan is going to add some 15, 20 pounds. But I definitely have personally and seen others gain a good 10 pounds on Primobolan over time. So you have to understand with Primobolan, a lot of bigger guys, like bigger size guys, don't care for it because it's harder for them to see it working, because it takes time. And it's one of those things that you have to watch, and you can see the progress over several weeks. Where, with a D-ball or an Anadrol, it's kind of instant gratification, Well, Primobolan requires some patience, and it's going to show a lot more in a guy my size than a guy that's like 250 or 260 pounds. That's just the reality of it, and that's why it's not for everybody, just like Masteron's really not for everybody, because it kind of I hate it when, and I used to say something stupid too, that, you shouldn't ever use it unless you're under 10% body fat. What I should have said was, you're not going to get the most out of it unless you are under, that kind of body fat, because it's a muscle hardener, and if you're, in that 15, 16% range, well, you're not really showing that type of aesthetic physique, so you're not going to get what it's used for. Primobolan's more widely used and better for different types of body types. Primobolan also has a couple characteristics people don't talk about. It does increase endurance, not drastic, but it does. And one thing I love about Primobolan and Masteron too is that they're really low in side effects, but Primobolan is probably one of the cleanest steroids out there that you can use if you get legitimate Primobolan. You're really not going to experience much of any side effects aside from the possible, hair shedding and normal suppression with the steroid, but that's about it. And that's one of the things I love about both of those, but especially how well you feel on Primobolan. I don't know. One of the things I love about it is that I just have a really good sense of well-being when I use it. I just always feel really damn good on it. Not that I don't feel good on a lot of others, but something sets Primobolan apart. Now, I like to see people run Primobolan a little bit longer than 12 weeks and at least that 14-week range. It takes a little longer to work, and you really want to run, you don't want to run it too long, but you want to get the most out of it and let it do its work. That's another one where I like to run it a little bit higher, 500-600 milligrams at least. I really like it at 800. That's getting a little higher end even for someone like me, but 600 is a really good sweet spot for it. There's just a lot of really good quality clean gains with Primobolan. It's one of those really slow and steady things. Okay, a lot of continuous lean muscle growth throughout, and the strength increase is not drastic, but it's continuous throughout. It doesn't just hit you like a ton of bricks and then you kind of stall out. It just continually works for the long term. And that's one of the things I love about it, is it doesn't really stall out. It doesn't hit this peak really fast and then just taper off. It's just continuous progress throughout. There's just something really nice about it that I like. It's not for everybody, nor is Masteron, but it's my favorite for a reason. It fits my needs perfectly. It's not going to do that for everybody. I'm not going to be one of those guys that goes, well, I did this and that's just the end all be all. But I'm going to tell you, for me, it is the best of the best. Because, of course, Tren is the king of steroids, but at a lot of cost. With a lot of cost. And the more cycles you run and the older you get, you realize that you don't want to deal with those side effects anymore. You want to get the most out of what you can do with the least amount of trouble possible. And if that's what you want, there is not one single steroid better than Primobolan. If I personally have to pick, I think the choice is fairly obvious. I'm going to pick Primobolan 11 out of 10 times. Not that I don't love Masteron, because I do, and for a guy that wants to and tends to stay at a single-digit % body fat, Masteron's something really good for me, but my body likes Winstrol better anyway. And, for me, like I said, Primobolan is the better of the two, but that's going to be different from person to person. I just wanted to give you a good comparison and understanding of the two and give you my thoughts on them. So, I'm Dylan Gemelli, signing off.
Please click subscribe at my channel.